It's the John Ramos Show. Now from the vast power of FoxSportsRadio.com. Ladies and gentlemen, John Ramos.
And thanks for joining us. Today, we are a pleasure to have Daria Berenato from WWE joining us from her home in Florida. Of course, you know her as Sonya Deville. Sonya, welcome.
Thanks for having me. What's going on?
Well, you're going on, and we appreciate your time here today on the John Ramos Show interviews. First, let's talk about WWE and what your involvement is there. Tell us a little bit about how you got involved with it.
Yeah, so I kind of started through the reality show WWE Tough Enough, which is like a competition series. I was fighting MMA and living in LA at the time, and I always had dreams of, I was pursuing acting and fighting. And so when I learned about the tryout for Tough Enough, I was like, wait a second, I don't know much about WWE, but as I did my research, I realized that it was kind of the combination of acting and fighting. So it was kind of like a match made in heaven for me. So I ended up getting onto the show and then getting a contract with WWE. And that was like 5 years ago now. And the rest is just kind of history.
Yeah, I know that you fought a couple times in MMA. How was that? Like, how did that prepare you for WWE, or was that totally different scenario?
Yeah, I mean, I loved fighting. Fighting was like my heart and soul for I would say 5-6 years. And it was my dream and I loved it. But I do think, obviously they're completely two different worlds, but I do think that a lot of what I learned at MMA definitely helped me for WWE. Just the level of aggression, intensity, footwork, obviously, and basic fundamentals of, combat definitely helped with my in-ring style in WWE. So yeah, a couple things transferred for sure.
And I like the way you talked about the acting side of things. I mean, there has to be some sort of personality. And I understand now from some of the people that I work with here at Fox Sports Radio that you are getting much more involved. You're getting to get the mic and being involved in more of the interesting side of things, not just the wrestling side of things. Tell us about how you feel about being more involved now with the whole SmackDown.
Well, yeah, I mean, my character over the past 5 years has definitely evolved. I came in as kind of this rough around the edges MMA fighter, and I feel like now I've transitioned into, a superstar who's opinionated, who has a voice. And I've been getting to show that off lately on SmackDown, and, I'm blessed to do so. And I feel like I've always known what I'm capable of as a performer and as an athlete. And now, the world's kind of getting to see that. So it's been really cool.
Now, when you speak about a voice, obviously you're openly lesbian, gay in the WWE. You talked about the voice right now. How does that voice come out now, or since you've came out, to let people know what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I came out 5 years ago on the show, and the last 5 years has just kind of been a journey for me, and trying to figure out how I can use my voice to help other people. Because when I came out, I was not comfortable with my sexuality. I wasn't comfortable with who I was in general because of a lot of things that I was hiding, my sexuality being the biggest one. And over the past 5 years, I've got to kind of go through my life experiences in the public eye with my fans watching and my supporters watching. So I feel like my message is just, it's okay to be whoever you want to be. And I think my fans really relate to that because a lot of them are going through the same things that I went through. So it's been really cool to kind of share my story and hopefully be an inspiration to them and allow them to, feel good in their own skin, no matter what that is.
Yeah, that has to be something that's not only tough, but I mean, being on television, being a part of a gigantic thing like WWE, and then having to come out and do something that you feel you have to do for yourself personally. Do you feel like it's really done something for you personally, as well as not only the rest of the people that are watching?
Yeah, I mean, I easily could have kept that part of my life private. It all happened because I was on the reality show, and the question they asked me in the interview portion was, "Are you in a relationship?" And I suppose I could have lied and let that part of my life just be a secret. But there was something in that moment, and I truly believe everything happens for a reason. There was something in that moment that told me to be honest. And, maybe that was just my instinct as a human. It was just to tell the truth, even though it felt uncomfortable. And now 5 years has passed, and it's the best thing that I'd ever done, because I realized in that moment, or probably hindsight more so, that I didn't even fully live my truth until I was honest with the people around me and it became public. It kind of forced me to then live my truth. And it's been the best thing that I've done. And it's so cool to see, my fans reach out, and I hear all these stories about how they came out to their parents after they saw me come out. And, that's been the case now for the last 5 years. So it's been really cool to see the impact that it has. I remember influences in my life when I was younger, looking up to people and just having people on TV with that representation was so important for me. So I'm glad to now be that for somebody else.
And of course you have a line of your own called Rainbow Love. Tell me a little bit about that and how that helps progress information and thoughts.
Yeah. So I'm actually wearing a shirt from the new collection we just dropped for Pride Month. So Rainbow Love is an awesome line that me and my friend Bobby kind of came up with in the last year or so. And it's a collection under Heavy Heart, which is a bigger line. And you can find all the stuff at shopheavyheart.com. But it's basically just an LGBTQ plus forward line. It speaks to what I represent and everything that I believe in. All the designs are personal to me. I've been part in coming up with every single design that we've released. One of our
and that's got to make you feel good to be like heavily involved in something, and that what's going out is what you want, not what somebody else wants.
Yeah, I'm pretty particular about the things that I attach my name to. I don't want to just put out something just to put it out and make a quick buck. I believe in this line, and I really like everything that it stands for. One of our first items says you are not alone on the back, and it has a suicide prevention hotline. And, that's something that's super important for me to talk about and advocate about, because statistically, LGBTQ plus community has higher suicide rates. And that's something that is really important for me to create a conversation about and make sure that we're aware of. Obviously, with everything going on in the world, there's a lot of things that are near and dear to my heart. But one thing that I've always spoke on, and I will continue to speak on, is that equality for all is the fundamental of what America should stand for, whether that be race, religion, sexuality, and anything across the board. It is so important to me that we all love each other as equals. And yeah.
And it's funny, Sonya, because a lot of people don't want to say a lot of stuff. They just kind of want to be in their own world or kind of do their own thing. And that's fine too. But it's wonderful to see that someone like you is out front, whether it be LGBT community or anything else, to speak on what you feel is right, as well as give happiness and fun to your fans doing WWE as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I've never been one to let wrong happen in front of me and just watch it. I've always had a strong voice, and sometimes it's a blessing, sometimes it's a curse, but I can't change the way that I am. And I want people to love each other, and I want equality for everyone. So it's important to me.
Now, the Quibi series, Fight Like a Girl, let's move on to how this stuff all happened and where you're at now. How is that? And it says it's unscripted, so you guys just kind of going in there doing your thing, and we're just watching.
Well, yeah, so Fight Like a Girl is a series on Quibi, and it's Quibi's a short bite network, so everything's under 10 minutes. It's a short little series. And Fight Like a Girl is basically female WWE superstars partnered with young women to mentor them through some sort of process in their life that they're going through. And, my girl, Samantha, she was going through her becoming comfortable with her sexuality and who she is, and also trying to get her family to be okay with who she was and coming out to them. So it was such a cool experience being able to work with her and to see the evolution that she made from, the beginning of the show to the end of the show. You guys saw it play out in like 7 minutes, but it was months long of her training and, finding her voice and who she is. And so it was really cool to just watch her over those months progress and become more comfortable with herself, more confident. It was just a super cool show.
Now, do you have a thought pattern in how this plays out as far as like what you want to do television wise and things like that? Or was that something that came to you and you said, oh, that sounds interesting? Like, did you say, hey, I'd like to be in a show that does this, and maybe they built something around you and everybody else? Or what's your thought on how you go about finding projects for yourself?
Well, I mean, yeah, anything I do, anything I put my time and effort into is going to be something that I believe in. That's just how I am. And if they came to us with the Fight Like a Girl series and I was selected for it, and I was like, oh my God, this is right up my alley. This is everything that I stand for, and I'd love to be a part of it. Stephanie McMahon is definitely one of those people that advocates for a lot of the same things that I do. And, you know, she's got a huge heart, and she was a big part of the Quibi series. And so as soon as she came to us with it, I was like, oh, absolutely. It's a no-brainer.
How about Total Divas? I see that show's on E. I've watched Total Divas, so I find it to be interesting and kind of a different aspect to it, where we get to see a different view of what goes on with the ladies in wrestling. How was that experience for you?
Yeah, Total Divas, it was crazy and so much fun. It's, you know, it's a reality show, and it follows our lives as WWE superstars, and the behind the scenes. I think it's unique to any other reality show that's on television, just because of our job and what it shows. But it was such a fun experience. You know, I was able to have my family and my friends on the show, and show my relationships, and show like a little bit more of like a vulnerable side that people don't typically get to see when they're watching Sonya Deville on SmackDown every Friday. So yeah, it was definitely a different experience. I loved it. It was hard at first, you know, when cameras are on you and you're in character, it's one thing. But when cameras are on you and you're just being yourself, it's kind of more nerve-wracking. So, but yeah, it was a super fun experience.
Yeah, that's got to be, I've always wondered what that feeling was like, to have people just following you around all the time in your life. And maybe at the beginning, you're kind of shy about letting things out. But then as it goes on, I guess, and obviously speaking to you right now, you don't seem somebody who's shy. But being able to let loose and be yourself, it must be definitely hard no matter how much experience you have.
Yeah, for sure. That wall's up at first, you know, you're kind of guarded. You're like, I don't want to say or do anything wrong, or, you know, overexpose myself because it's nerve wracking. And then by like the third episode, you're like, okay, all bets are off. You know, here I am. Love me or hate me. It is what it is. So yeah, it was fun.
Let's talk about your character, Sonya Deville. How did you come about that person? Where did you want it to go? Like, I watched a couple of videos of you. Would I consider you like the bad person, but like not the good person? I don't know how I would say that, but what would you consider your character as?
Yeah, Sonya is who she is. I mean, she's very much a reflection of who I am. She's very much in sync with who I am as a person, just kind of turned up a little bit. Yeah, I mean, she's the pride fighter. She fights for what she believes is right. And, you know, sometimes people don't agree with her definition of that, but she's very confident in who she is. And she's evolved a lot over the years. You know, like I said, when she first got signed to WWE, she was kind of rough around the edges, MMA fighter, kind of untamed, unhinged, in a sense. And over the years, she's grown into, you know, now she's a woman, like a full blown badass ass kicker, that, you know, pulls no punches. And so, yeah. And I think everyone's starting to really get to know Sonya more and more every single Friday. So it's been fun. Yeah.
And by the way, WWE Friday Night SmackDown is on Fox, and you can see it there. And so, okay, help me out here. So Mandy Rose, she was your partner. You guys have some sort of like donut video, right? Donut show you do about donuts, or just what you guys do together. Is that right?
Yeah.
And then now, but now you're not friends. There's something going on. Can you give us some information on this, or is this kind of hush hush?
Yeah, no, it's very simple. Mandy Rose was my best friend. She was like my sister. She was my roommate. She was my neighbor. I mean, literally I've been through everything with Mandy over the past 5 years since we met on Tough Enough. And I got sick of biting my tongue. I got sick of standing in her shadows. I mean, when you're around Mandy Rose, it's the Mandy Rose show. And that's just point blank, period. And I got sick of it. And you know what? Sonya is the type of person who steals the damn show. She's not in somebody's shadows. But I'll admit that I made mistakes over the past 5 years, and I allowed myself to become second best to someone who isn't even the best. And, you know, I have a lot of regret there, but I'm getting my revenge now, and it's all good. And as far as Demandy's Donuts goes, which is our company, we are president and co-president of Demandy's Donuts. The show must go on. So we've been pumping out content. Luckily, we have our assistant to communicate back and forth between the two of us. So we don't have to speak or talk, but we're still going to run a company and become successful in that. So
yeah. Hey, you got to be professional, right? About something.
Business is business. That's it.
That's right. I noticed a video the other day, and obviously somebody in your position where you're running, you're jumping, you're constantly being in motion physically, you have to stay physically fit. And I saw a video yesterday where you're actually like helping people out, like what you do to stay fit so that other people can follow along. How is that? How's that regimen for you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously my regimen's changed being in quarantine. I built a home gym a couple weeks into the quarantine because I knew that, gyms were closing down. We weren't going to have that access. So I do what my body feels. It's a lot of strength training and cardio. But some days, I don't feel like doing the assault bike. So I'll just ride my bicycle around the neighborhood, or I'll go for a jog, or I'll swim in my pool. So I'm always switching it up. But I do post some of my workouts so that my followers can hopefully join in at home. I do a lot of stuff with no weights at all so that they can do the same in quarantine. And so, yeah, my style of working out has really evolved over the past decade of my life. I've been working out since I've been playing sports since I was like 6, 7 years old. So it's been a lifelong journey of kind of figuring out what works for me and my body.
What about the fact you talked about COVID-19 and about having to do your own thing during the quarantine time? How has it been? WWE, one of the only sports going on right now, no fans in the crowd. How has that been with you as personally wise, being out there and being like on the forefront of like sports going on with nothing else?
Well, I just love being a part of something right now that's kind of like hopefully some comedic relief or a smile on somebody's face when all this stuff is going on in the world. So, I know as someone who watches sports and stuff, I would want something to take my mind off of things. And so I'm happy to be a part of that. As a performer, it's been really kind of rejuvenating, being able to do something different, have to reinvent and recreate, being there's no crowd there. Everything we do has to kind of alter and change. Yeah. And so that's been kind of cool for me as a performer and as a creative mind to be able to do that. And like I said, I just like being a part of something that can put a smile on somebody's face right now during all this, stuff going on. Yeah,
and it definitely does. Like I said, with no sports going on. And is there a different feel when you're out there and there's nobody in the crowd? Because I know one of the things you see from all sports, and definitely WWE, is the fans are into it. They're going crazy. That they're screaming at you if you're the bad person or you're the good person. They're cheering you. How do you go about mentally getting yourself prepared when nobody's out there?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the mindset. I'm like a high stakes person. So I'm all or nothing. Stakes are always high in my mind. So everything that I do is the most important thing in the world at that moment, in that moment. So I take everything I do very seriously. So even though there's not a crowd there, I still understand that there's millions of people watching around the world at home. It's still that level of intensity for me. Obviously it feels different in the moment, but like I said, I just take it on as a performer and just kind of reinvent and recreate and try to make it mean the most that it can mean in the moment.
All right. We saved the best for last, and that is this whole Batwoman thing. What's going on with that? I know they've said that the person who plays Batwoman is no longer playing the role. Obviously, they're looking for somebody to continue on with the seasons. Your name has been thrown out there. Can you give us a scoop?
All I'm going to say is it's a dream role. When I saw Ruby Rose get the role and be the first gay Batwoman, I thought it was so badass. And I want to continue that inspiring message because it was powerful to me. So I could just imagine how powerful it was to, millions of other people around the world. And I would love to, fill her shoes. I think that I'm perfect for it. Obviously I can do the physicality. Obviously I have that look of an athletic, badass superhero. So I feel like it's a match made in heaven, and I'm definitely in pursuit.
Well, that's good enough for me. Sports wise, you mentioned that you played sports when you're younger. What sports did you play when you were younger? And also, when I say younger, I mean you're young right now, but you know what I mean when you're a kid. And also, Do you like any sports teams? Do you follow any sports teams personally?
Yeah, so I grew up, I played everything: basketball, lacrosse, soccer, track and field. And then I got into martial arts when I was like 16. So yeah, I played sports my entire life. I don't watch too much. I used to religiously watch MMA when I was in it, obviously, but kind of busy. So I don't get to watch it as much as I'd like to. Sports teams growing up, all our teams were Philly teams because I lived in Jersey right outside of Philly. So Eagles, Phillies, 76ers was my favorite basketball team. I would go to every game when I was like, I don't know, 12, 13, 14 maybe. And that was like a highlight of my childhood was Allen Iverson and the 76ers. So he kind of inspired my look when I first got into WWE.
Oh, yeah?
My hair cornrowed back. Yeah, I thought I was so cool. So, yeah.
How's Florida? How's living in Florida been for you? Do you enjoy it? I mean, obviously, New Jersey, you've been there, and I'm sure you've traveled all around the world and the country doing many things. What made you feel like Florida was a place for you to be, or was it just work-related type stuff? Well,
I've lived all over. I originally moved to South Florida out of high school to train with America Top Team, one of the best MMA gyms in the world. From there, I moved to New York to pursue acting and produce my first independent film. And then from there, I decided to move to LA so I could act and fight. And then work brought me to Orlando, and then I ended up residing in Tampa now. So I love Florida. If I wasn't in Florida, I'd be in Cali. I need the warm weather. I would never go back to Jersey. It's too cold. I'm not about that life anymore. I've definitely softened a little bit when it comes to temperature sensitivity. I love Florida. I love the warm weather. I love being able to swim in my pool almost all year round. So, yeah, it's great.
So what can we expect from Sonya Deville moving forward? Is there going to be something fresh and new all the time, or you feel like you're on the right path right now?
Yeah, I feel like I'm on a forward and upward trajectory. I feel like I'm the most confident that I've ever been, both in and outside of the ring. It's time for me to take over the world. I feel like I'm like really becoming getting into my prime right now. I'm 26. I'm young still, so I have lots of years left in the company that I look forward to. There's so many walls and ceilings to still break down. There's so much yet to accomplish, and I have a long list of things that I want to do here. So you can expect a lot.
Where can we find you? I'm sure you're all over social media, Instagram, I guess, Twitter. Where can we find you at?
Instagram, it's Sonya Deville WWE, and same with Twitter. You can also find Demandy's Donuts on Instagram and Twitter, and on YouTube, Demandy's Donuts. Check out our series, and demandys.com is where you can get the merch. Right now, $5 of every Pride item collection is going directly to the Trevor Project, and $5 of every non-Pride item is going directly to Black Lives Matter for the entire month of June. So you guys can check that stuff out and help me help them.
That's wonderful. And of course, June is Gay Pride Month. How does that feel for you when there's a whole month devoted to the gay movement and how things happen and that you're so involved with it? Is that something that really makes you feel really good? Yeah,
June is Pride Month for the LGBTQ plus community. So it represents all of us. And obviously it's usually a time where we're out on the floats and the parades celebrating, but we have to do things a little bit differently this year, obviously, because of the quarantine and everything going on. But, I've made those collaborations with companies and organizations like the Trevor Project to still help give back, create that change, and obviously still celebrate. So it's been exciting to kind of still be part of the movement and everything going on right now.
Well, Daria Baronato, or AKA Sonya Deville, thank you so much for joining us on the John Ramos Show podcast, video podcast now. And I appreciate your time and good luck in all your endeavors. And we appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Well, thanks again for joining us on the John Ramos Show interviews podcast, and now video-wise. We hope you join us again. We'll have a lot of different interviews with different people, and we appreciate your time and effort in what you do to watch us and listen to us. You can catch me Monday through Friday on the Doug Gottlieb Show between noon and 3 Pacific time on Fox Sports Radio, and you can catch this video and other interviews at foxsportsradio.com. Thank you for your time today, and we'll see you next time.